Most people think summer means watering more. But what if that's exactly what's hurting your plants? Last summer, I learned that lesson the expensive way. I was watering constantly, sometimes every other day, and still watching plants struggle. Then I noticed something strange. In the hottest corner of my patio, a few plants I'd practically ignored were thriving. No drooping, no crispy leaves, no constant care. And that's when I realized something most gardeners never get told. Some of the most beautiful summer plants actually perform better when you stop fussing over them. Today, I'm showing you 10 of them. And plant number 7 completely changed how I think about summer watering. Before we finish, I will show you the 3 summer plant myths I wish someone had told me 7 years ago. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more simple plant care tips like this. The first one surprised me because of where I found it thriving. Lavender. I'd always thought of lavender as a delicate garden plant, the kind of thing that looked beautiful in photographs and died in my care. I'd lost 2 of them before I understood what I was doing wrong. Lavender is native to the rocky, sun-baked hillsides of the Mediterranean. The soil there is poor, dry, and fast-draining. Lavender didn't just adapt to those conditions, it requires them. In rich, consistently moist soil, lavender doesn't thrive. Its roots suffocate. The visual appeal is obvious. Those purple flower spikes are genuinely beautiful, and the fragrance they release on a warm afternoon is extraordinary. But what makes lavender a summer plant revelation is that the hotter and drier it gets, the more intensely it blooms. Common mistake: planting in rich soil or watering on a consistent schedule. Both work against it. Best placement: full sun, fast-draining soil, and the driest spot you have. Unexpected insight: the gray-green color of lavender leaves isn't just aesthetic, it's functional. That silvery coating reflects heat and reduces water loss simultaneously. The next plant takes drought tolerance further, and the color it produces under stress is one of the most vivid things in the plant world. Portulaca is the plant that taught me what genuine drought tolerance actually looks like in practice. On a day when other plants were wilting by noon, my portulaca was in full bloom. Dozens of small, vivid flowers in orange, red, pink, and cream, completely unbothered by heat that had been going for a week. Biology is fascinating. Portulaca stores water in its fleshy, cylindrical stems and leaves, a succulent mechanism that allows it to maintain turgor pressure even when the soil is completely dry. It also closes its flowers in the evening and on overcast days, a behavior that reduces water loss during low photosynthesis periods. What most people get wrong? They plant it in shade because the flowers look delicate. Portulaca needs full sun. Without it, the flowers barely open and the plant stretches weakly toward any available light. Best placement? The hottest, sunniest spot you have. A south-facing wall, a concrete patio that retains heat. Portulaca loves conditions that drive other plants away. But the next plant has been storing water for decades, and what that looks like on the outside is extraordinary. A mature jade plant is a living water storage system dressed up as a small tree. Those thick, oval leaves hold significantly moisture reserves, enough to sustain the plant through weeks without watering during summer. The woody stems store additional water as the plant matures. A jade plant that's been growing for 5 or 10 years has an internal reservoir that makes it almost indifferent to short-term drought. The visual result is something that looks architectural and expensive. That characteristic small tree silhouette, the woody trunk, the dense canopy of glossy leaves, while requiring almost nothing during the hottest months of the year. Common mistake: keeping jade in low light because it's a succulent and assuming light doesn't matter much. Jade needs bright light to maintain its compact shape and waxy leaf surface. In low light, it stretches, weakens, and becomes significantly less drought tolerant. Unexpected insight: slight summer stress, a bit more heat, slightly drier conditions,
often triggers jade to push out new growth. The mild stress activates the plant rather than harming it. What if I told you the next plant is doing something inside its leaves that most people have never heard of?
Aloe's summer survival strategy operates at the cellular level. The gel inside aloe leaves isn't just a cosmetic ingredient, it's a precisely engineered water storage matrix. That gel holds moisture in a form the plant can access slowly over time, releasing it to the roots and vascular system as needed during drought conditions. What makes aloe specifically suited to summer is its CAM photosynthesis. While most plants open their stomata during the day to absorb CO2, losing water to evaporation in the process, aloe opens its stomata at night. The stomata close completely during the day, and the leaf surface stays sealed against heat and evaporation. On a hot summer day, an aloe plant is losing almost no water at all. Common mistake: watering aloe frequently during summer because the soil dries out fast. The soil drying is normal and expected. Aloe's roots need that dry period to stay healthy. Water deeply, then wait until the soil is completely dry, and then wait another few days before watering again. This is where most people get it wrong, and the next plant is the perfect example of why.
The ponytail palm isn't actually a palm, and that bulbous base isn't just aesthetic. That swollen trunk base is a water storage organ, a caudex that can hold enough moisture to sustain the plant for months without rainfall. In its native habitat in semi-arid Mexico, the ponytail palm experiences long dry seasons, followed by brief wet periods. That caudex is the biological solution to exactly those conditions. Indoors during summer, this means the ponytail palm is one of the least demanding plants you can own. The long, curling leaves, the ponytail, are narrow and waxy, minimizing surface area and water loss. The whole plant is engineered toward conservation. Best placement? The brightest spot available. A sunny windowsill or outdoor position in summer brings out the best growth and color. Unexpected insight? The caudex actually grows larger over time as the plant stores more water. An older ponytail palm with a well-developed base looks increasingly dramatic and sculptural with every passing year. Before we move further into the video, let me tell you something really important that most people actually hide from you. Here's the mistake I made for 2 summers straight. The moment temperatures rose, I watered more. Felt responsible. The soil looked dry, the leaves looked stressed, so I kept adding water, and I had it completely backwards. A lot of summer-loving plants aren't struggling because they need more water. They're struggling because too much water suffocates roots that were designed to handle heat and dry conditions. That was the turning point for me. The plants thriving in that forgotten corner of my patio weren't surviving by luck. They were built for this. And the next 5 plants prove exactly why understanding that difference changes everything.
Crown of thorns is one of the most misleading-looking plants on this list. The flowers, small, vivid clusters in red, pink, or yellow, look like they belong on a plant that needs regular care and attention. They look tropical. They look high maintenance. The reality? Crown of thorns is a succulent from Madagascar that evolved in hot, dry, rocky conditions and has developed multiple drought survival strategies simultaneously. The thick stems store water. The waxy leaf surface minimizes evaporation. The plant can drop its leaves entirely during severe drought and regrow them when conditions improve. And here's the part most people don't know. Crown of thorns blooms most prolifically under slight stress. Consistent moisture and perfect conditions actually reduce flowering. Let it dry out between waterings, give it full sun, and it produces flowers almost continuously. Common mistake: treating it like a flowering plant that needs generous water to bloom. The opposite is true. And now, plant number 7. I've been building to this one since the beginning.
I want to talk about bougainvillea specifically, because this plant broke every assumption I had about what beautiful summer plants need.
Most people who try bougainvillea fail with it, and the failure almost always comes from the same place. They water it consistently, feed it regularly, and give it what seems like ideal care. And it produces green growth. Lots of green growth. Healthy, vigorous, lush, and almost no flowers. Here's the biological truth that changes everything. Bougainvillea is native to coastal Brazil, hot, dry, seasonally stressed environments. It doesn't flower in response to ideal conditions. It flowers in response to stress, specifically water stress, heat, and slightly restricted root space. When bougainvillea experiences drought conditions, when the soil dries out significantly between waterings, it interprets that stress as a signal that the season is changing, that resources may become scarce, and that it needs to reproduce before conditions worsen. Flowering is the plant's reproductive response to that signal. Water it consistently, and the signal never fires. The plant just keeps growing leaves. Let it dry out, give it full sun, restrict feeding during the flowering period, and it erupts. That paper-thin color, not actually petals, but modified leaves called bracts, in magenta, orange, red, or white, covering the plant so densely the green leaves almost disappear. I made this mistake for 2 summers, watching a healthy bougainvillea that never flowered, not understanding why. Now I know. Stress isn't harming it. Stress is what it was built for. The next plant uses a completely different strategy, one that works even without any sun at all.
Snake plant in summer is almost a non-event, and that's exactly the point. While other plants are demanding more water, more attention, more management during the hottest months, the snake plant continues its quiet, unbothered existence. The thick, upright leaves are coated in a waxy surface that severely limits water loss. The CAM photosynthesis system means stomata stay closed during peak daytime heat. The underground rhizome stores additional moisture reserves. The result? In summer heat, snake plant needs less frequent watering than at any other time of year, not more. The higher temperatures accelerate soil drying, which confuses people into watering more often, but the plant itself is using less water, not more. Water every 3 to 4 weeks in summer. Let the soil dry completely between waterings. That's the full summer care routine. The next plant takes low maintenance to a level that seems almost impossible until you understand the biology. The ZZ plant's drought survival system is underground and invisible, which is why most people never appreciate how sophisticated it actually is. Beneath the soil, ZZ plants develop thick, potato-like rhizomes that store significant water and nutrient reserves. Those rhizomes are doing the work that the plant's relatively modest root system can't do alone, acting as a biological buffer against drought conditions that would stress most other plants within days. Above ground, those glossy leaves with their waxy surface are doing their part too, reflecting excess light and heat, minimizing transpiration, and maintaining their visual quality even when the plant hasn't been watered in weeks. I left my ZZ plant for almost a month during a summer trip. I came back genuinely expecting damage. The plant looked identical to how I'd left it. That kind of resilience isn't luck, it's biology. And the final plant on this list is perhaps the most dramatic example of summer adaptation on any list I've ever put together.
Desert rose stops people. That swollen, sculptural caudex at the base, often wider than the plant is tall, combined with flowers in deep pink, red, or coral that look almost too vivid to be real. It looks like something from a botanical illustration. It looks like it should be difficult. It isn't. Not in summer. Adenium is native to sub-Saharan Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, some of the hottest, driest environments on the planet. That caudex is an extreme version of the water storage system we've seen throughout this list, capable of sustaining the plant through months of drought in its native habitat. In summer heat, with full sun and infrequent watering,
Desert rose blooms prolifically. The heat triggers flowering. The drought cycles keep the roots healthy. Everything summer throws at it is exactly what its biology was designed to receive. Common mistake? Keeping it indoors in lower light. Desert rose needs more sun than almost anything else on this list. A south-facing window at minimum. Outdoor full sun ideally.
Let's break 3 myths that cause more summer plant failures than anything else. Myth 1. More water fixes summer stress. For the plants on this list, and for most drought-adapted plants, summer stress isn't caused by insufficient water. It's caused by incorrect watering frequency. Deep, infrequent watering that allows full dry cycles is what these plants need. Frequent shallow watering keeps roots in permanently moist conditions that suffocate them. Myth 2. Leaf droop means the plant needs water. This one is genuinely dangerous. Leaf droop in summer can mean underwatering, but it can equally mean root rot from overwatering, heat stress that the plant is handling through a temporary wilting response, or pot-bound roots that have run out of space. Check the soil before adding water. Always. Myth 3. Evening watering is always better in summer. For some plants in some climates, yes, but for succulents, cacti, and drought-adapted plants with cam photosynthesis that open stomata at night, evening watering into leaves or onto stems can introduce moisture at exactly the wrong time. Water the soil. Keep the leaves dry. Morning watering is generally safer for this plant category. Summer plant care isn't about doing more. It's about understanding what each plant was designed for.
Summer doesn't have to mean struggling plants. It can mean the opposite. A season where the right plants ask the least of you while looking the most extraordinary. Where the heat that stresses other plants triggers blooming in these ones. Where the dry spells you'd normally apologize for are actually the conditions these plants prefer. That's not a hack. That's biology. The 10 plants on this list were doing this long before you brought them home. All they've ever needed is for you to stop interrupting the process. Which one surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if today was about surviving summer beautifully, the next video takes this further. It's called 20 Indoor Plants That Transform Your Home into a Healthier Space. Everything about which plants improve the air and the overall feeling of your home every single day.